Hi, and thank you for your interest in the AOS Falcon 7 frame. I wanted to do an assembly guide here just in case there was any confusion about how to put it together. It's a little bit different than a standard quad frame, the way it goes together. So yeah, here's a little explanation of how to do it. Of course, this is my full finished build, what it looks like afterwards with all the parts installed and of course, in the frame package, you only get the frame, not the electronics, but this is what it looks like with all the electronics installed. But let's put that aside for now, and we'll get to work on assembling the frame itself. So I've already opened my package and assembled it, but I've taken it back apart and put it back in the packaging here so you can see what it's going to be like when you get yours. So all the parts were separated into different bags to avoid them getting scratched. You got your front arms, 2 front arms, 2 back arms, your brace spacer, 2 braces, the main or mid plate, top plate, and the bottom plate, and of course a package of all your fasteners. All right, so let's go over the separating out all the fasteners first. And it looks like there's quite a few here. There should be a spare of each fastener, as well as I've also included the fasteners you're going to need for mounting your motors, just because the thickness of the arms and then also in the rear, some of the fasteners for the motors also go through the brace and the arm, so you need especially long ones. So all the fasteners you need for your motors are included in the package. So you need 8 of these 25mm standoffs. There should be 9 in the package, just so there's a spare. And like I said, for the fasteners, there's a spare for each of them. There's also should be a spare for, I believe there should be a spare one in there for all the standoffs as well. All right, so I've got my 9 25mm standoffs, 5 8mm standoffs, and 3 5mm standoffs. 5 25mm button head fasteners for the for your flight stack. The long countersunk fasteners are for attaching the arms and 4 of the standoffs. The longest button head fasteners are used to attach the rear arm braces and brace spacer to the mid plate. The next shortest button head fasteners are used to attach the arm braces to the arms and the motors. These medium-size countersunk fasteners are for attaching the arms into the and go into these press nuts. Then there's a whole bunch of 10mm button head fasteners for the motors. 4 of the motor fasteners are the button head ones when that goes through the braces and the arms. But then the rest of the motor fasteners are going to be 10mm. There will be several 8mm button head fasteners. Those are for the front sort of GoPro mount section. If there's any 12mm fasteners, I think those are probably extras. A couple of the standoffs are fastened on the bottom with 6mm button heads. And the 6mm countersunk fasteners are for the top plate. Alright, so we're going to start with the bottom plate. So the countersunk holes on the one side. This standoff is going to get mounted on the opposite side from the countersunk holes. And it gets installed with a 6mm button head. And then the mid plate goes with the press nuts on the opposite side from the countersunk holes, with the standoffs in between. So countersunk holes and press nuts are both on the outside. Later on, this is going to be different fasteners to use for our GoPro mount, but for now I'm just going to use a couple of these short button head ones just to hold this together while I get the arms in. So the front arms are the ones with less of an angle on them, and they're also a little bit shorter. And they go in with the angle bending them forwards a little bit. Here's where we're going to use a bunch of these, I believe they're 12mm countersunk fasteners. So you don't want to do any of these up really tight yet, just enough that it's not going to wiggle and move around on you. Wait till you got everything totally together before you start tightening it up. One more for the center. I'll do the same for the back arms. Alright, next we'll put in the longer countersunk fasteners for the standoffs. So you go in those other two countersunk holes there. And then standoff screws down onto that. I haven't added thread lock to any of these fasteners when assembling mine, and it's all stayed together nicely for me, but if you wanted to, you could add a little bit of thread lock to the fasteners. Now the rear standoffs are going to be 2 more of the 6mm button head fasteners. Or, sorry, the second from the rear. These standoffs here are a 6mm button head. Alright, and this should be the longer button head ones. Through the brace, through the spacer, through the mid plate, and then the standoff fastens to that. And same thing for the other side. Alright, now the top plate. Oh, actually can't do the top plate yet. Before the top plate, we got to start getting into the 3D prints here now. So my test copy here that I got actually had the Falcon's head turned backwards. So the in this 3D print, I had a indent of the Falcon's head, so that the 3D print actually fits up inside this cutout in the top plate. In the test version I got here, the Falcon's head ended up being backwards, so I just chopped that part of the TPU mount off because it wouldn't fit together. I think there might have been a couple of frames that got out before I caught that with the head backwards, but it should have been all sorted out by last Saturday. It would have just been anybody that ordered one before the release video may possibly get a backwards Falcon head and have to cut that off. You don't really see it anyways when the battery's on there. So you just got to put that TPU part on before the top plate. And then this is all of the 6mm button head fasteners. Alright, next we'll install this front part for the FPV camera mount and the Immortal T. So here you're going to need the 2 5mm and 2 8mm standoffs. So to start, you're going to put your 8mm standoff in and just push it till it's flush with the top there. You don't want to get in the way of this cutout where the plate slides in. The second one just flush there. Now you slide this between the two plates with the 8mm standoff in between the plates. Push it on good and tight, see if you can make sure you can see through both the holes there. Now 2 of our 10mm button head fasteners. Are used for this part. You screw the 5mm standoff all the way onto that 10mm fastener. And then this goes in from the bottom. Now when you're doing this one up, this other standoff inside, the 8mm one, might want to spin a little bit as you're trying to tighten it. So you just got to push here with your thumb. Once you get this button head fastener going through, see if it feels like it's not tightening, then now you just push on the side of this one. And that'll cause some resistance and it'll tighten up a bit. You don't have to worry about getting it really tight. I'll remove these extra 6mm button heads that we put to hold our standoffs in here earlier. Those come out. Now for the GoPro mount, you're going to want 2 of these 8mm button head fasteners for the rear. And then 2 more 8mm fasteners for the front part. Alright, those are all started now. Just going to do them all up just a little bit. Make sure I'm getting them, they're all getting in the holes easily before I tighten it all up. Okay, that seems all good. I'm going to tighten it a bit more now. See, these are going to have to go down really hard. The squishing of the TPU acts like a rubber washer and stops them from loosening off too easily. And there's the, I don't know if you want to use it, the optional receiver protective cover thing. Goes in there like that. To fasten it, you just remove these bits of infill here from the 3D printing, and your fasteners for the 30x30 stack in the rear hold that on. So now I've got an extra one of each of the standoffs. I've got my 25mm screws for the stack, and then a couple extra of all the, there should be one or two extra of all the fasteners we've used so far. And then you're going to need 4 of these 15mm button heads to fasten your motors. So the 15mm through your braces give you just enough to fasten the motor nicely. And then the 10mm ones work perfect for the those rear, or the ones without the rear braces, and of course the front arms. And we haven't put our stack screws in yet, but that's okay because they fit through the holes in the bottom, so you can actually change them if you happen to bend one or trying to put a different stack in. You don't have to take all your arms off. You can just install your stack screw right there, right through the big hole in the bottom. If you just bought an AOS Falcon 7, then thank you very much for your support, and I hope you really enjoy flying it. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.